And they filmed it, they taped it. And he said, I was given $100,000 by Frank Liberto, who was the mafia puppet who ran Memphis for the big mafia boys out of New Orleans. So it was Frank Liberto, he said, that gave him $100,000 to set up the whole mechanism for killing King. In the building right behind the Lorraine Hotel with the courtyard bumped into, Lord Jarvis had a restaurant called Jim's Grill. He also said that at the first meeting, here's who was there. So-and-so was there, so-and-so was there. And let me tell you, there was some black folks there too. The black man in the very famous picture that was leaning over Martin Luther King, Merle McClellan, he was there at the first meeting. We didn't know at the time his job was to do two things. One was to point everybody in the wrong direction. It was him that pointed and said the shots came from there. Not only was he an undercover cop, he was so undercover that his paycheck didn't even come from the Memphis Police Department, came from the utility company. And now tonight, as we sit here, he's a CIA agent. His other job was to infiltrate a little group of little juvenile thugs. They call themselves the Invaders. And y'all got to be careful about what y'all join just because they're yelling and screaming about Whitey. Y'all got to be careful about what kind of evil, nasty black folks you get around that want to go blow up something and then wonder why you get arrested on your way there. Martin Luther King was preparing for the Poor People's March in Washington, D.C. Yet many senators and many Congress people said, we don't think he should come here because we are afraid of the amount of violence that will be created. Martin Luther King's answer to that was, I've led demonstrations, there's been violence, but it wasn't on our side. It was people attacking us. Now, if I'm going to be blamed for that, then there's something wrong. So they decided that they would create a violent situation. And Merle McClellan, the undercover Memphis cop, had also infiltrated the Invaders. And it was when King came in for one day to lead that march. One day. To lead that march. One day. And it was their job to see to it that it broke into a ride so King could no longer say that I've never led a march that led to a ride. And that was to force him to come back for a second march so they could kill him. And so all at once the King family decides to sue Lord Jaws on a wrongful death suit. Not that they wanted any money, so the first time the truth could be validated and documented. So there's a lot of people upset about the Truth and Reconciliation Committee in South Africa, but 100 years from now, because of that, 100 years from now, nobody have to say, let me tell you what those black folks say they did to them. They can't say that now because white folks came and testified under oath that this is what we did. Because of this trial, no longer will anybody be able to say these conspirators allege this to have happened. It's documented under oath. They subpoenaed the captain who was over the fire station, which was across the street, firehouse number 2 from the Lorraine Hotel. 34 years later, he's 34 years older, 7 years old, fat, getting ready to die, wanting to find Jesus. So he came and raised his hand and told the truth. Would you give your name? Yes. How old are you? What's your occupation? I'm retired. What was it before you retired? It was Memphis farmer. What was your top rank? Battalion commander. Where were you on April the 4th, 1968 when Martin Luther King was shot? I said, I was in charge of the fire station across the street from the Lorraine Hotel. Did you notice anything different that day? Yeah, early that morning some people came and introduced themselves as Army intelligence. Said they'd like to go up on the roof and put King under surveillance. What'd you do? I led them up to the roof. What did they have with them? They had large containers, small containers. What do you think was in the containers? I don't know. What do you think? Well, it could have been stuff to take motion pictures, still pictures. Could the containers held high-power rifle? Yes, they could have. And then what happened? Well, later that day when the shot rang out, they were still on the roof. So we know that the United States government not only had pictures of Martin Luther King being killed, they also had pictures of the person that did it. So then what happened? Said then I rushed across the street and ran up the steps where King was laying on the ground, and I helped put him on the stretcher. Said, did you get to see the wound? Say yes. Would you describe it to the jury? Say the wound was going up, which means he had been shot from down here, not up there. He's a white man who ran the fire station, who probably 30-some years ago couldn't care if King lived or died. He's a white man sitting there saying to 6 blacks and 6 white jury that, yes, I saw the wound and the wound went this way. And the next one that testified that he had interviewed people from military intelligence, the 111, the 209. The 209 is so vicious, they'll scare the CIA. And the 184, that's the sniper team, that's the Rangers. When they had to admit they was there, they say, well, we was there as a backup, and that leads you to believe they was talking about to back up in case the security broke down. They was there to back up in case that hit didn't hit. They were supposed to take him out. That's what the jury heard. Lord Jawa's defense was real hip. There was so much overwhelming evidence that there was a conspiracy. His defense was, yes, I was part of a conspiracy. I just didn't know the person that I was supposed to have killed was Martin Luther King. And what made that so beautiful, it meant that they couldn't object to none of the stuff that was going because they wanted everybody to know what we knew, that it was a conspiracy. He just didn't know it was Dr. King. 70 witnesses they got to hear, plus to see that film. They got to listen to Earl Clark's wife. Who was Earl Clark? Well, when the shot rang out, the dude who shot took the rifle and gave it to Lord Jawas, and he took it through the back of his restaurant window, and then he jumped over a concrete embankment, and there was a black cab driver, Paul Butler, cab 58. He heard the shot. He didn't know King had been hit. He got out the cab to see what happened, see this white man jumping over this concrete embankment, so he followed him around the corner and watched him get into a police cruiser. That man who shot King was Earl Clark, Memphis cop. Dead now. But they subpoenaed his wife. She came to defend the good name of Earl. My husband couldn't have done that because he was homesick all that day. At what time did he find out Dr. King had been shot? Well, he found out over his police radio. And then what happened? He realized how serious it was that he had to go in. And then what happened? Well, all of his uniforms was in the cleaners. So I had to go get his uniforms out. Miss Clark, you aware what time Dr. King was shot? Oh, I think it was a little bit after 6 o'clock. Miss Clark, are you aware that the cleaners closed at 5? That's what the jury heard. Huh? That's what the jury heard. There's an FBI agent by the name of Donald Wilson. He's the one that found the Mustang that Lee Harvey Oswald was driving. He found it in Atlanta, and he found some notes in it that he said the minute he read the notes he knew it was a conspiracy, but he called one of the numbers, this is 1968, that was on the number, and it ended up going to a nightclub in Dallas that Jack Ruby used to own, and Jack Ruby is the one who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, who was arrested for killing Kennedy. He said he got so scared he never turned it in because he thought if he turned it in and they know he looked at that, they would kill him. This is the FBI. And this is who we have to deal with every day. Those of us out here in the movement have to deal with folks who are a white FBI agent said, I didn't turn the stuff in because had I turned it in, they probably would have killed me. That's some of the things they heard at the trial. Just to set the record straight, James L. Ray never confessed to killing King. He pleaded guilty. There's a difference. If a cop grabbed me and said, I'll kill all your granddaughters if you don't say you took that purse, now plead guilty. A confession means you have to know some of the intricate details that nobody else knows but the police who was there investigating it and the person that did it. He never confessed. This document went into the records. He had probably one of the best defense attorneys that had ever lived in the history of the planet at the time. His defense attorney was called Percy Foreman from Houston. Lawyers used to come in from all over the world and just go to this bar where he used to hang out and just sit and listen to Percy talk. He was James L. Ray's lawyer. James L. Ray was coming up to be sentenced on March the 10th. Here's the letter that Percy Foreman, James L. Ray's lawyer, sent him on March the 9th, 1969. Percy Foreman, Houston, Texas, March the 9th, 1969. Mr. James Earl Ray, Shelby County Jail, Memphis, Tennessee. Dear James Earl, you've asked that I advance to your brother Ray, Jerry Ray, $500 of the $5,000 referred to in the first $5,000 paid by William Bradford Huey on January the 29th. Mr. Huey advanced an additional $5,000 at that time. I had spent in excess of $9,500 on your case. Since then, I have spent in excess of $4,000 additional. But I am willing to advance Jerry $500 and add that to the $165,000 mentioned in my other letter to you today. In other words, I would receive the first $165,500, but I would make the advance to your brother of $500. And this advance also is in contingent upon your plea of guilty at the sentencing tomorrow on March the 10th without any unseemly conduct on your part in the courtroom. Here's a man's lawyer that told him your father 30 years ago jumped bail We're fixing to put him in jail. If you don't plead guilty, I, your lawyer, personally will see to it you get the electric chair. And all the way, we're trying to explain how y'all got all this money, so the government is going to say that your brother and you robbed banks, so he's going to jail if you don't go in and plead guilty to him. The jury got this letter from his lawyer, promising him $165,000, but it was contingent on him pleading guilty. Thank God to the King family. Thank God to William Pepper that handled that case. Thank God to everybody out here and the many people that died. His brother was murdered. They said he drowned in the swimming pool. Dr. King's brother, because he was questioning King's death. AD. They tried to kill Coretta in the church and missed her and killed Dr. King's mother and made like it was some little crazy lunatic guy that came down. And yet the King family kept on moving. Never born with millions of dollars. Never had the glamour that the Kennedy family had, and yet the Kennedy family haven't spent one nickel trying to find out what had happened to them Kennedys, including that funny little thing that went down with John last summer.
Thank you.
And so I say to you tonight, make no doubt about it, we are in one of the most evil, nasty, vicious, insane, ungodly, unethical systems that's ever existed in the history of the planet. And not only will they kill black folks, they'll kill white folks that look like they're going to show us in a certain light. How many of y'all in here saw the movie The Green Mile? Thank you. How many of y'all didn't like it? Go back and see it again. I've seen it 13 times. And when you go back and really see what that movie's about, then you realize why Stephen King was hit with that truck. And then you realize why 2 months ago Stephen King had a press conference and said he'll never write again. And then you realize last Friday, this guy that got all kinds of bad records of driving went into court, one of the most powerful writers that ever lived, and got set free. And I'm going to say to you again, those of y'all that didn't like the movie, you should say a prayer that your mind will be open to see what you really saw. Those of you that haven't seen it, every day that goes by without you seeing it, you do the 70 trillion cells in your body a disservice.
What's the name of the movie?
The Green Mile. Who saw it? You remember what the black man's name was? John Coffey. And those initials is J what? Go back and see the movie. And then read the New Testament, because that movie is the story of Jesus Christ. They just took a mentally retarded nigga and made him Jesus, and most of y'all didn't even see that, because y'all would expect a Ron Brown type nigga to be made Jesus. Huh? Huh? That white woman laying in the bed, that was Mary Magdalene. Y'all go back and see it. Those of you who didn't understand. Jesus Christ wasn't healing. He was pulling demons out of people, and he cast them into pigs, and the pigs went crazy. In that movie, he pulled them demons out and cast it into that pig top, and he went crazy. Y'all go back and see that movie again. In the Bible, when Jesus was being put on the cross, he was hung between two thieves. That was the two guys that got executed ahead of him. Yeah. And the one thief said, when you go to heaven, will you remember me? That was the Indian brother that said to Tom Hanks, if I repent now, will I be free? Y'all need to go back and y'all need to start breaking code. But y'all can go, y'all like Matrix. Everything I see, like Matrix. Because they showed a black woman and a black man that had the finest mind in the history of the planet, but the white boy was the savior. Huh? I ain't met a black person that didn't like it. How can you like that filth? And here a white man sit and took a mentally retarded nigger and made him Jesus Christ. And because of that, they tried to kill him. And when he said, I leave here and I join my Father in heaven. That's what the Fred Astaire piece was about. I'm in heaven, I'm in heaven. Na, 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 na. And Tom Hanks played two roles. He was Pontius Pilate when he said, I can open up the door and let you out. And he was Judas. Huh? Y'all need to go back and see that. Hollywood have never, ever in the history of Hollywood ever casted a black person with that type of dignity and that type. You ever think you would go to a movie in America where the white woman was doing the cussing and the brother would be Jesus? He said, y'all, his wife hadn't cussed. He told him, he said, y'all came on a good day. And remember that white woman's the only one that called him Mister. My name is John Coffey. And every time he says that, he says, like the drink. That was the lady that Jesus met at the well and told her that was the wrong water. I'm the water of life. Drink me, you have everlasting life. And this white boy was so hip, he didn't only make the water, he made it black to represent your melanin. And y'all went there and missed that, thinking you're so hip. Go back and see it again. And then that scene where he put his mouth on that white woman's mouth. Next time you see that, make like that's your mouth. And make like anything in your body that shouldn't be there is being pulled out. And I guarantee you when you leave there, you'll feel different. And then sit and relax and then enjoy yourself when you find out that's more than a movie. And when you saw them white boys crying at the end, that wasn't Hollywood tears. When he nudged him and said, wipe your face before you straighten up. And so I say to you tonight, we got a big job, but our job is made easy. Because all of those who have died ahead of us, and they haven't stopped anything. When I think about this movement here, when I think about what you all do here, when I think about how safe I am coming to New York now because y'all on the scene. Yes. And then I think of the price you have to pay to be the agitator. What a hell of a price. And you even pay a bigger price if you're sick enough to have to be validated by the New York Times. But ain't a comic on this planet that they should talk about like me. I changed the whole thing. But I don't need their validation. I changed the whole thing. The whole thing. The whole thing. Before me, they would not permit a black entertainer to stand flat-footed and talk. If you go back and listen to the Mills Brothers and the Ink Spots and Nat Cole, those that had a white audience, no black man back then was permitted to sing a song that suggested love. That's why they were singing Route 66 and Mona Lisa and Pennies from Heaven and all that old nature boy stuff. Joe Louis was never permitted to knock a white man out and then raise his hands like that. And all of that have happened. My brother Mattis, you suffered a lot, but my daughter, who's a lawyer here in New York, you made it easy for her. Yes. You made it easy for her. Y'all got a little upset when they moved the trial to Albany. I'd be shocked when y'all expect white folks not to act like white folks. I mean, some of y'all have none of that attitude. I want y'all to listen to this date. It says urgent, 1:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November the 17th, 1963. That's 5 days before what? To all special agents in charge of the various offices of the FBI. This is a telex from J. Edgar Hoover that we were able to get under the Freedom of Information Act. Urgent, 1:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November the 17th, 1963, to all special agents in charge of the various offices of the FBI. It says from the director, and here's what it says. Threat to assassinate President Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, November the 22nd-23rd, 1963, miscellaneous information. That means don't be in the office that day. 5 days before Kennedy was shot, Hoover sent this telex out and called it miscellaneous information. They've been doing this for so long. And then they take their little trick magazines. This Time magazine ran the picture of Caliban. These are the boys in the cafeteria rehearsing. That's a lie. Those of you all that got too much sense to work. That's why I said I'd never get a job. A gorilla, rhinoceros, and the elephant eat more food. And one day I eat 6 months. They ain't never had a job. I said, Lord, you can take care of them. I know you can take care of me. Those of you that sit home when this story broke, you remember the CNN, if you was watching it, showed a dead white girl in front of that school and showed them handcuffing 3 white boys, putting them in the car. And after about 2 hours, they snatched that and act like that never happened. The Attorney General of the state said there's been rumors that there was more than 2 shooters. I will investigate that. She was the only black Attorney General of any state in America. 2 weeks after she said that, she was dead. And the reason I take the time to show you this, because they are convincing you. What they don't tell you is this was a video class. They had enrolled in a video class. Can you imagine sending a child of yours to school and they think they're in a video class and this government is setting them up, and then they have all of these tapes. They were sitting in a video class and this was a mock thing that they were supposed to have been doing. They were sitting reading the script saying we're going to buy the gun from so-and-so, and that poor little boy that they claim sold the gun to, he ain't sold no gun, but they got a videotape where they saying they sold it, so they went in and make a deal, said we'll give you 6 years or else you're going to collect your check. That's how they do it. And then they cover it up because they control the press. Yeah. Is it anyone in this room that's aware of the fact that in the last 2.5 years, teenage homicide in America have decreased 48%, and in the black and Latino community, 72% decrease? But that's not what you feel, because NBC and ABC and the New York Times keep shooting at other stuff. Why do you want to look to something filthy that hates you to get your information? Can you imagine where Jews would be today if they was trying to run some Nazis down to find out what time it is? Can you imagine that how long it would have took the Jews to get that money they picked to get out the Swiss bank had they had to depend on Swiss newspapers? Can you imagine that how long it would have took the Jews to get that money they picked to get out the Swiss bank had they had to depend on Swiss newspapers? Oh, what are we going to do about our children? Every 4 seconds you've been in this room and around the clock, a woman in America gets beat up by her boyfriend or husband, and that's not our children that's beating them.
Right. That's right.
All these divorces, that's not our children. You know, you're really stupid enough to believe that a 5-year-old child of yours can reach in the refrigerator trying to find the mayonnaise and got to reach past Papa's beer and Mommy's wine, and you qualify to tell them they can't smoke a reefer one day.
That's right.
67% of all the hard drugs on this planet, 67% is consumed in America, and we're just 6% of the world's population. But what a hell of a price you have to pay for racism, and a hell of a price you have to pay to tolerate it. What God, that's a God, would ever validate you reducing yourself down below the dignity that God put in you just so you can pay your rent and your household, send your children to college? God will destroy you from the inside. Death is better. And somewhere, even when we catch them, then they're going to step in and write the apology from their point of view. They said something real nasty about you in the New York Times, and you wrote a letter to the editor, and they published it. People would say, well, they're nice, they didn't have to publish it. One of the most awesome things that ever happened in the history of this planet is the 600 black men in Tuskegee. Because those wasn't Klansmen or White Citizen Council, that was the United States Government Bureau of Health and medical doctors that said, we're going to give you a shot so you won't catch a cold this winter, and they injected syphilis in them. And even after they got caught, even the president brought the men this last year to Washington to apologize, and not one black or one white has ever made them account for the black women that had to get syphilis. Because if you get 600 black men syphilis, what about their wives and their girlfriends? And it's like, you don't even count. And we black folks haven't even demanded that they give an apology to my woman. If you give me syphilis, I got it. If I give it to my woman, every baby that comes through that chute got syphilis. Do you know what they did to my woman down there? In all the books you read, not once is she mentioned. We got to stop after we catch them, let them write the protocol. The strongest two forces in the history of America has always been the black woman and the black church. Always. That's why both of y'all are under attack. They can blow up a black church, but they can't blow up a black hoe house. They never blowed up a crack house, but they can burn the church down to the ground. And sister, one day when you understand who you are, one day, there ain't another woman alive that would let a baby come out of her belly and sing such filthy stuff about her as you let them little punks that you burn in that gangster rap. And then got nerve enough to go buy that filth and then idolize them. If they ever do one paragraph of that filth about a Jewish woman or Irish Catholic, they'll die that day. And then y'all want to sit around and say, well, all they talking about is their experience. Well, when is the priest going to do a rap about ripping off the little boy's booty? When is the mafia going to do a thing about all this stuff? Why is it we the only ones? And I listen to some of that filth you let your children sing. I love hillbilly records. I never thought I'd love a hillbilly record. Y'all need to go buy your hillbilly record. Listen to it. That white redneck cracker ain't never said nothing derogatory about his woman in his song. Huh? You listen to it. It's always he was doing wrong. When I listen to black men, I caught my baby in bed with my best friend. It's always you doing wrong. Listen to them hillbilly records. It's never her. It's always him. Not another man on this planet says the filthy stuff about his women. And y'all be dancing to that stuff. And at some point, that got to stop. Simple. More black women was gunned down last year by police in this country than any other time. And I don't think it's a coincidence it happens on the back of gangster rap. And one day when you listen to that gangster rap, make like you're a white that live in Australia. You ain't never seen a black woman, you just heard gangster rap. What am I supposed to think about you? Because I heard your man tell me that you need to be stomped underground and you need to be screwed this kind of way and that kind. I heard your man say that. And y'all sit and tolerate that filth. Tolerate it. Like you some insignificant wimps, like you don't have no power. And we need to come together one day and march on the record and say, oh, stop it right here. Nothing's going to break it. But you can do things you want to do. But we put such little value on black life. And that's what police brutality is about. Why do you think black cops we have by the thousands have never handcuffed a white? Why do you think black cops ain't never shot a white boy 41 times? You think it's because they're more spiritual than white cops? You think it's they better trained? No, they got enough sense to know white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And once we put this country on notice that never again are we gonna tolerate you gunning down our children, our mothers, our wives, our daughters, our husbands, it's not gonna stop until then. And then this white boy, he's so smart. You can't find nobody that know a black, that can tell you in the brutal days of Mississippi, you couldn't pay a redneck to mess with a black man's car because something come over us when you mess with our car. Why do you think a cop in New York ain't never shot a black person's car? Why do you think they ain't never hit your car with their billy club? Because they know you tolerate them busting your little child upside the head or shooting your grandmother, but don't mess with your car. Is something wrong when I have more fear of my enemy than I have love for my children? So as I leave you tonight, I say to you, they just talked about AIDS at the UN yesterday. Oh, it's so horrible, what are they trifling black folks doing over there? The Washington Post, which I call the #1 paper in America, because out of Boston, 63% of all mortgage money in America come out of Boston banks. That's where the power is, not here, in Boston. And if any of y'all ever been to Boston, go there and hold your breath until you see a Rolls Royce. You won't see none. Because super rich people don't need them a little trifling nothing cars. That's just for folks that's insecure. 3 different days, headlines on the front page. AIDS and the African. AIDS and the African. Oh, what's wrong with them? Well, let me tell you something. My oldest daughter, when she was working on her doctorate at the London School of Economics, me and Hosea Williams had been halfway around the world. I said, hey, come here, let's go see this little chump daughter of mine. Spent a week with her, and God so blessed me, walking down the street one day, the front page of the LA Times, Monday, May the 11th, 1987, smallpox vaccine trigger AIDS virus in Africa. AIDS epidemic triggered by smallpox vaccine. Huh? And then they go on to talk about the AIDS epidemic may have been triggered by the massive inoculation campaign which was used under false pretense of eradicating smallpox. The World Health Organization, which masterminded. Huh? And so they got us running around believing that something trifling is happening over there, 2 million died, and we walking around instead of looking this punk in his face and say, whatever they got, you gave it to them just like you put smallpox in the Indian blanket, just like you injected my brothers down in Tuskegee. You did it, and I'm not going to come to you ashamed. You the one need to apologize. So I leave you tonight, and I say to you, every now and then, he makes some mistakes. I want you to hear this date here, Saturday, October the 24th, 1987. What year? 1987. Now listen, save some time. An estimated 1.5 million Americans have the AIDS virus, but that's based on a 20-year-old study. Now subtract 20 from 1987, and we wasn't supposed to have AIDS then. So I leave you and I tell you, take care of your body. There's something wrong with a group of people that make more money than any other black on the planet. Most white folks have more education hours than any black on the planet. Most white folks, but our death rate from disease and sicknesses, we black folks in America is less than 12% of America's population. As we sit here now, 87% of everybody in America on kidney dialysis machines are black folks. There's something wrong with that picture. Black men is less than 4% of America's population. But 83% of cancer, the prostate death, is black men, and y'all don't see nothing wrong with that? So I leave you tonight and I say to you, take care of your body. Try being a vegetarian. You tried everything else, it don't work. Black teenage boys in America have more asthma deaths in America in 1 year than all the asthma deaths on this planet put together. Why? Because Harvard, Yale, MIT haven't realized that asthma is a dehydration, and an asthma attack is your brain sending a message to squeeze the water out of the lungs. So most of the time, 6 quick glasses of water would resend that message. The two ways you die is called attack: an asthma attack, which is your lung, and a heart attack. And you've asked yourself, what did I do to make my heart attack me? What did I do? How am I so trifling to make my lungs attack me? And why little black boys have so much asthma death? Because they don't drink water. Drink Gatorade, lemonade, Kool-Aid, and soda pop. And all y'all that run around here smoking them reefers thinking about people come to me from all over the world to clean them out. I can clean you out in 18 hours. I don't care how long you've been on heroin or cocaine. Take me 6 months to get reefers out your body. Look here, I didn't come here to scare y'all out of nothing. You do whatever you want to do. At least just know you're doing it. I used to smoke 4 packs of cigarettes every day. I didn't know cigarettes cause cancer. Then I found out I quit. Take care of your body. How you spell live? L-I-V-E. If you put an R on it, you got what? Liver. It's the only thing in your body that sounds like live. Take care of your liver and your kidneys. You can't take care of it reacting to racism. Because the first time you get all uptight, and I'm so sick and tired, you black people always tell me what y'all told white folks on the job. You see, every time you get uptight over a racist situation, get angry, you tear up your liver and kidneys, not the glands. You put all of that pressure, and your liver have to take the blood, the poison out the bloodstream. It can't do that while you putting all them negative vibrations down there. So what a lot of you black folk need to do that ain't gonna do nothing, you need to go hire y'all some white folks. Pay them. And put them on the balcony and come just cuss them out once a week. And that get rid of all that frustration, take that pressure off your kidneys, just cuss them out. And when y'all go to the doctor for 6 months and find out you ain't got no blood pressure, you should get in white folks a bonus. But just go by there and just call them all kind of honkies. Big redneck, no good cracker, honky, honky, honky. Honky, 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 honky. I'd rather for you to put it on your payroll to mean you're going to live longer. Instead of always want to come and tell me how upset you are. I don't want to hear it. Somewhere, I beg you to take care of your body, get into physical fitness. Don't sit there and lay in that bed every day, the time to go to work, and then wonder what happened to your heart, wonder why you got all in pain. get up out of bed in the morning and walk. Y'all stay in bed at the time to go to work. I'm telling you, just try it. Try for 1 week drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Just try it. Try it. And then try getting up 3 hours from time to go to work. And you know what happens? You get up 3 hours from time to go to work, just sitting around the house melting out and cool. You be so mellow and cool, you won't even go to work. After you do that 3 days in a row, you don't have to go to work. Let me leave you with this. They were spraying all over New York because they say 2 mosquitoes came in here from Africa. Y'all remember that? 2 mosquitoes came in from Africa. Now, Africa got one non-stop, the whole continent, one non-stop plane a week. How do mosquitoes know which one to get on? And if they didn't get on the non-stop, why didn't they get off at the first stop? And while we was watching them spray y'all here, they were spraying all over the country. That's what this flu thing is about. That's why people who even had the shot still end up with the flu. You can beat it, just drink a lot of water. That orange juice you drink, that orange juice, you got to get fresh oranges. That orange juice you got, I got to Florida, they brought me a can of Libby's. That came in on the same plane I came in on. Take you some fresh garlic, you eat a lot of garlic, just go down there and wipe all that stuff out. Garlic, golden seal. You don't have to be sick. And then get you some rest. Try to get you some rest. And when you get rest, turn the radio and television. I want to sleep all night long with radio, television. Melatonin, the body produces it every night when you go to sleep, but you have to be in a dark room. If you got one light on in the room or got TV on, your body will never produce melatonin. Your brain will not produce it. It has to be pitch black. And all you folks that raise children with that little night light in the room, you did them a disservice because they never got no melatonin. And you women that didn't want to nurse your babies because it makes you have flabby titties, you were right. You're right. You got them firm, look them in the eye tits, but the babies is flat. Let me leave you with these 2 thoughts. In Oklahoma, federal building was blown up. A white girl named Carol Howe, 90 days before the explosion, she was an undercover agent, the FBI, alcohol and tobacco. She went and told them the 7 folks that was going to do it in the exact day. And when it happened, she didn't know they was part of it, so she went to the press. They indicted her. And luckily, some good lawyers came in. She's not in jail tonight. I want you to hear this real good. The Washington Times, April the 22nd, 1998. Only paper ran this story, this little 4 inches. FBI pays mortgage on Nichols' home, Denver. The FBI made mortgage payments on Terry Nichols' home after he was arrested for the bombing of the Oklahoma. They paying his mortgage right now. And it says the spokeswoman for the Justice Department said she did not know immediately why the government was paying the payment nor how much it was. They never denied they paying it. All them explosions in the World Trade Building, those are the United States agents. That old blind movement guy, how you gonna come in my country without a passport or a visa and blind? And customs can't figure, what do you want to do? Just aim me towards the World Trade Building. You know how many of them moves Muslims work for the CIA, and they're going to whitewash everybody. Bin Laden been on the CIA's payroll ever since he been in the public eye. And you black folks run around thinking let me tell you something, they can take you out anytime you get ready. The CIA gave that punk thug $3 billion to put that whole resistance together in Afghanistan, because that wasn't a war of liberation. Russia, America, and Britain was fighting for who was going to put heroin, which is the biggest part of the heroin on this planet, come out that part of Afghanistan. And Bin Laden and the United States won. That's why 98% of the heroin in American Britain comes from them thugs. And Bin Laden's daddy is the one that put Bush and his boys in the oil business. That's what that's about. And Bush, with his little stupid Texas governor, said he know he lived in a crack house with a sister for 2 years in Houston, Texas, and he know they're gonna bring that out whenever they get ready. He know he got a baby by one and an abortion by another. He knows that. And I'm not about to be stupid enough to believe I know it. The New York Times don't know. And I never assumed he was going to run for president. He got $61 million. Y'all saw that, right? Have y'all forgot him and his brother ripped off a savings and loan for $61 million? All they doing is using this campaign to launder that savings and loan money and clean it up. Money is not power. Education is not power. Information. And Bush, the reason they ran him out of the White House, Clarence Thomas, that white woman he married to, is Barbara Bush's niece. And she probably said, you told me you was going to take care of my sisters. And he had to listen, because Barbara Bush is worth about $20 billion. George, that little chump change she got. People say, I don't know what he see with that funny white hair. He saw green hair. Have y'all forgot two things about the O.J. trial? That Nicole Simpson's mother said she talked to her daughter at 11 o'clock. He said, how you know? I said, me and my husband, well, we went to dinner that night, was an hour and a half from the house, and from the time we left, we couldn't have got back before 11. And they go and get Bell Telephone to trick the records. But there's one original record in Texas, and there's some folks I know got a lawsuit trying to force that out, and once that comes out, everything changes. Have y'all forgot that they said Nicole Simpson put up a hell of a fight because she had skin under her fingernail? God is a good God. The Russian spy satellite just happened to have been over the West Coast during the O.J. Simpson murders, and they filmed it all. Hear me now, they didn't mean to, they just happened to have been passing over, and they captured it. And sent it all to the State Department, and they never heard from them because they didn't know they did. And they got everybody duped. Some probably pulling for O.J., some pulling for this, some pulling for that. That's a game they play. And the reason you haven't heard no more about the skin on her fingernail, because when they checked the blood and found out the blood wasn't O.J.'s and the skin was white, the 4 pathologists was getting ready to hold a press conference that morning to announce it, and they murdered all 4. Only one paper, no television, no radio news, one paper, the Miami Herald. The Miami Herald, Thursday, July the 20th, 1995, page 3A, and here's how the headlines read: 4 LA City employees killed. And you got to read all the way down to paragraph 6 before it talked about the Piper lab was the lab that was handling the O.J. Simpson investigation. And so I leave you tonight and I say to you all, thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. God bless you. Each one of you. Now, Dick Gregory. Let's give it up. Dick Gregory. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dick Gregory. Thank you. Thank you. about that? All right. Oh. All right. Let me just first say we thank and praise God that we all made it here safely today. I pray to God that your return and my return will be equally as safe. Secondly, let me just say, I didn't know, that it got this cold here in New York. I didn't realize how cold it was till I got off the plane today. Little redneck white boy looked at me and said, "Nigga, why don't you get on back to Africa where you belong and take me with you?" Now, here's when you know when it's cold. When you go down to 42nd and 8th and the flashes is wearing coats. They just down there describing what you would see if it wasn't this cold, right? See, I be cold in America in the summertime. It's just something about my African genes. They just do not tolerate this type of breeze. I know y'all be talking about reparations and all that. Well, I was born in 1932, so I'm not ready for reparations yet. See, they owe me some other stuff. See, and y'all don't have to have no attitude about reparations. Y'all gonna get reparations and you ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. Them same lawyers that got 40% of that $300 billion cigarette settlement gonna get your reparations money. Ain't got nothing to do with love. Got something to do with I get 40% of it. And there is no case like our case. And they got these computers now where they can reach back, prorate from the time they snatch, and we're gonna get all of it. Just, pain that you caused my mama when you took me from it all. Oh, they're gonna be there. But you black folk better be ready now, because unbeknown to a whole lot of folks, there was more white slaves in America than black slaves. They just called them indentured slave service. Now when the money comes, they're gonna be up the front of the line, so y'all better be ready. They'll be at the head of the line, because white folk do not mind standing in line. They'll stand in the line for 4 days trying to get tickets for a Rolling Stone concert that ain't coming for 2 more years. I mean, they don't care nothing about no line. But now, y'all go and get your reparations money. See, before I even get to that, I just want this man to understand. And you hear these old silly people talking about, well, why do they want me to pay? I had nothing to do. Nobody asked you to pay, fool. Nobody asked the smoker to chip in on the cigarette settlement. The people who made the money paid it. You smoke cigarettes, that's cool. That's what you want to do. You don't owe me nothing. But the company that put it out here gonna give me my money. The people who made money off slavery. That's where we gonna get the money from. So I'm gonna tell you, y'all go on down there and get y'all's. See, I just want the man to know that first, before you even talk about reparation, I'm laying over there in Africa minding my own business. Now you call me whatever you want to call me, savage, this and that. I was minding my own business. You understand? God gave me the ground. That was my house. Nice warm breeze every night. That was my cover. Wake up in the morning and reach up and get my breakfast off a tree. This white boy come over there, stole me, introduced me to rent, Safeway, and snow. Now I want that. That's the first debt you're gonna settle with me. That's where every time y'all look around, y'all know I make good money. Every time you look around, but every 10 years they're repossessing my house. I just don't like to pay note. And I don't understand, most of you black folks, y'all be sitting around here talking all militant and acting all like blah, 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 but you got good credit. I mean, y'all might think y'all protest. You can put all these funny looking outfits on, twist your hair all kind of way. If you got good credit, something wrong. Who wants to be validated or peacefully coexist with a vicious, insane nation? What's that, TRW? I call them up and give them bad stuff on me. Hey, man, let me just tell you. I'm so sick and tired of being around black folk with good credit, but you ain't got no cash. I'm trying to find me some black folks with bad credit, but cash. That's the biggest problem I had with my wife. When I first got married 42 years ago, she couldn't handle debt. She always wanted, we got to pay on time. When we gonna pay Sears and Roebuck? I said, baby, you act like we got some money. We don't have no money. And when I get some money, Sears and Roebuck is not my first priority. Sears knew I wasn't gonna pay for that stuff when I got it. Yeah. On the back of the application, they said, who gonna pay for this? I said, your mama. I walked in the house 2 weeks later. I thought Lil was having a nervous break. She said, they did it. I said, what's wrong, baby? They hit Sears and Roebuck. They just said, final notice. I looked at it and said, thank God we won't be hearing from them no more. And all y'all got good credit, don't nobody care. You ever hear them commercials? They're not for you. It's for people like me. Hey there, couldn't get a car, can't get a loan? Call this 800 number, we have you rolling by noon. And then black folk try to be spending. I don't know, you can get that old kind of loan. It ain't, you paying 34% interest. I ain't paying nothing because I ain't gonna pay it anyway. Say, well, we don't like to give colored folk money because they don't pay. I said, well, I can't speak for the group, but you write about me. And then when they call your house, y'all have nerve enough to be nervous over a telephone call. Thank you, brother. Over a telephone call. I mean, first you have to ask yourself, what? Did I get the stuff? Yes, I did. Do I intend to pay for it? No. So then you just go ahead and deal with it. Don't be lying, talking about, tell them I'm not here. What's that about? Then you got little children coming up talking about, tell them I'm not here. Thank you, brother. No, sit here. Thank you. Yeah, I drank dead out this bottle here, man. You don't understand that? Youngsters, y'all do whiskey like be drinking out little cups and stuff. You gonna bring me a bottle of water and measure out how much I'm gonna drink. You hear that noise he's making, a bit rattling, all that. I mean, it's open, just leave the water there. I get it. And then bring one little bitty old bottle. He's some funny looking little roses up here too. But I guess it had been cold here. But like I said, they be calling y'all. And some of y'all be lying. Plus them folks that's calling y'all 9 times out of 10, they're not even in the same state with you. How many of y'all are aware that most of these collectors that be calling y'all, 61% of them is jail inmates? How many of y'all know that? Yeah, they make about 31 cents an hour. Yeah. I had a triple serial killer call me last week trying to embarrass me because I'm late paying Neiman Marcus. He a murderer. Trying to make me feel. I said, well, punk, you come get the money. First, there's
nothing ungodly or unspiritual about not paying. The violation is when you lie. You go right to the phone. Yes, Dick. Yeah, this is Dick. They don't know what to do because they've been trained that you're going to say it's not you. And when you say it's you, they got to go back to the manual. What do you say when they say they there? Huh? He come back. You know this is not you. I said, boy, how old are you? You 22 years old. Let me tell you something. I've been owing this company this money for 38 years. I mean, before you was born, I owed them. What make you think you gonna collect it in your lifetime? Huh? And you can tell when it don't work. See, people just want to harass you, and don't get scared about bill. I mean, fear and God do not occupy the same space. Huh? My brothers called me the other day scared. They're about to repossess my car. What must I do? Don't park in front of the house. Car green, painted red, you know? I mean, you just let too much stuff bother you, you know? How in the world I owe you and I'm gonna worry? I got the stuff. And they knew you weren't gonna pay when you got it. They look at you and tell. I mean, I got in town today and I heard them saying, I had to slow up and call the radio station because they said, this furniture company said you can come get all the furniture you want and you don't have to pay till 2003. That sounds like reparations to me. I mean, they didn't say, come get a couple of chairs. They said, well, all you want. Man, I'm going down there tomorrow and buy stuff for folks I don't even like. I'm gonna get this homeless woman a couch, you know. They still know how to launder that drug money, don't they? I mean, 2003? Please, I mean, first, when you stop and think about, you know, the games that they play, and then after they can't bother you and faze you. See, that's all racism is about. Can I disturb your peace? See, y'all walking around all these old whitey this, whitey that. The man done already stole you. So now he care about you getting mad? You ain't leaving. Now you cussing, you're honking. I don't see you going down to the dock trying to get back. And he's somewhere up on the mountain. Say, what they look like? Say, don't worry about them. They just cussing and hollering and calling me honky and this and that. But, well, what, Dad? Jesus Christ, what are we going to do? Say, son, I told you, don't worry about them. Don't worry about what they down there talking about and what they weighing. Just go over there and check the liquor store. And as long as them half pints is still selling, boy. As long as we can bring drugs in there and they pick it up, we got them checked. Huh? Somewhere. The games. And then when none of that works with them bill collectors, then they bring in another level. When they can't harass you, then they get them psychologists, those PhDs. Hi there, guy. When can we expect a payment? Well, I'm not in control of your expectations. Matter of fact, you can expect a payment all the time. Matter of fact, my brother, you sound so positive. Have you checked the mail this month? You know what I mean? And then you just worry about stuff, you know, that you don't have no control over. I had this cousin Went in and spent all this money, had a 50th wedding anniversary. So what? So you've been married 50 years, so what? That's you and her. Oh, he had this big elaborate party. And then 2 days later, he in the mental hospital. So I said to my wife, I said, I knew the boy, he's kinfolks. The boy never was stable, And just to be married to the same woman for 50 years, means something had to be wrong with her too, I mean, I've been married 42 years. I'll be the first one to admit, I think my wife's a little, I said, well, I'm going to leave. She just fall on the floor and laugh. Children get the bags and be packing my stuff. When you going, Dad? Don't y'all need me? And this whole game they play about the problem in the black community, ain't no black man. That's an insult to black women. We ain't home when we home. You know what I'm talking about? Sister fix that big old cobbler for you and have everything right, and you sitting there mad at a white racist system, and you sitting there, she said, how you like the cobbler, dear? I'm eating it, ain't I? That whole Jack the Ripper had a mother and father. Hitler didn't come up in no broken home. You can't find no more family values than the Italian mafioso. How you gonna always let somebody pick an agenda for what you're supposed to be ashamed of? Huh? Queen Elizabeth, she make $300 million every 24 hours, just interest on her money.
Well, yes.
The girl been in a palace with that Philip she married to, husband and wife, rich, in a palace. You can't find no more dysfunctional, messed up children than hers.
Right on.
Huh? Only one over there act like they got a little sense at all is Queen Mother. She 102 years old. You see the birthday party they have for her? She went in big old high heel shoes. She out there stuff. And the only thing wrong with her, she had 2 hips replaced, and she wouldn't have had to do that if she ever learned how to stand up after she drank a bourbon. Somewhere, so anyway, like I said, so we go to the 50th wedding anniversary, and now he in a mental hospital. So I just went, to look at him and asked him some questions. What happened? 50 years of marriage. I said, I need to know, man, because I thought once you get 50, you're safe. You know what I mean? The way people getting divorces now, I said, I've been married 42 years, and now you tell me 50 years, man, and you left angry, plus had a breakdown. What happened? Well, he told me that when they first got married, back then nobody going on no honeymoon. That's some new stuff. You just got married and went on home and tried to pick out a name for the baby, because you know what I'm saying? Now y'all be funny about marriage. Y'all got all this $40,000, $50,000 to get married and all that, So anyway, he said when they got married and they went home, and in the foot of the bed she had this big old cedar chest. You young folks probably don't know what that is. It's big old with a lock on it. He asked her, said, well, dear, what is that? And he said, well, it's just something I promised myself. My little secret when I got married, I was going to do this. And 50 years later, he'd never asked about it again. So he said, 50 years, this cedar chest been sitting here in front of this bed. And I asked you the first night, what was it when we got married? And you just said, your little secret. Now, we've been married 50 years. Don't you think we're close enough you could share it with me? She said, come to think of it, in 50 years, you haven't asked anything about this, sure. But she get the lock and she unlock it and open it up, and it's 2 ears of corn and $50,000. He said, what's the 2 ears of corn for? He said, well, I promised myself when we first got married, if I was ever unfaithful to you, I'd put an ear of corn in this cedar chest. And that didn't bother him, because he's thinking about, I've been married 50 years and just twice. Huh? Just twice in 50 years? He said, well, what's the $50,000 for? He said, well, every time I got a bushel of corn, I sold it. You know what I mean? You just have to leave dumb things alone. You know what I mean? Got this old dumb cousin. He always want to try to lose weight. And everything I tell him, he fails. So he told me the other day, he said, man, I got this program. Can't fail. I said, man, as dumb as you are, explain to me the program. He said, well, you go and you register, you pay $100. I said, what do you get for $100? I said, they have a spread, they have about 42 different types of meats, they have about 50 or 60 different types of vegetables, all the salad and fruit and dessert you want. I said, that's a weight loss program. I said, yeah, weight loss. Well, the funniest thing happened, they say you eat all you want. Eat and lose weight. So you eat 3 days, then they told him you skip a day. And so he went in that first week, he lost 20 pounds. And the people who put the scam together was baffled. He said, well, you know, we've heard of people losing maybe a 1/10 of a pound. But, I mean, on our program, you've lost 20 pounds? I mean, did you follow it like we said? Eat all you want, 3 meals a day, then get up in the middle of the night, eat snacks and candy bars and cookies? Yes, I did it all. Well, you must have, you're doing something wrong. Well, explain to us, what was the hardest part about the whole weight loss? I mean, was it those hunger pains that was going through the body in between those snacks? You know. See, the hardest thing I had to do was, that day I had to just skip all day. Y'all got to pay attention. I sneak. All right, see if you get this one. I got this old dumb brother. I mean, he is really, he dumb, his wife dumb, his children dumb. And he mad because all my children are brilliant and his is dumb. I said, man, you ought to thank and pray to God every night. A prayer of thanks that all your children are dumb. He said, why? Because I said, well, you dumb, your wife dumb. You had a brilliant child, you know it wasn't yours. They arrested him and his son for drunken driving. I said, well, man, your son can't even drive. Well, he was drunk and he was in the car with me. I said, bro, they cannot arrest a person in the car for you for drunken driving if they're not driving. He said, well, you just think you know it all. I said, no, I'm telling you. I said, look, man, you know, one of my daughters is a brilliant lawyer. Let me send her to St. Louis now. I don't need, you think you the only one got some smart. Me and my son, we're going to be our own lawyer. Now, you talking about a dream team. Huh? They go to court. He called me the next day. Well, we did it. I said, what happened? We went to court. They reduced our drunken driving to second-degree murder. And then, look, he decided he gonna drive because he never had no money. So now he got a little retirement piece. So now he was never able to take his children to Disneyland. So now he gonna take his grandchildren to Disneyland. So he calls me up. I just want you to know that me and the wife, we taking the grandchildren to Disneyland. Now he live in St. Louis. Say, how you going? Say, we driving. Say, I'll call you every day to let you know where we are. Now I sure how dumb that boy is. For 54 days, he called me. On his way to St. Louis to Disneyland. and be just as happy. So then he called me and he says, we just about there. We saw a sign say Disneyland, 10 miles. I said, well, call me when you get there. You kind of pacify him, you know. I didn't hear from him no more for like 6 weeks. He finally called all the press. I said, hey man, how was Disneyland? Said, oh man, you know, last time I called you said Disneyland 10 miles away. So we drove about 10 miles and saw that sign, Disneyland left. So we turned on around, went home. Now, the dream team. See, y'all be talking about Johnny Cochran. No, the case of the century. The case of the century. That's white folk calling somebody in here. calling you by your slave name. I tell you one thing these white folk can do in this town. They got a machine that can melt snow. Huh? Did you see on New Year's? Huh? You don't mess with commerce. I mean, gone. Worst snow y'all had in like 6 years. Not in that area. It's water. Now they would never use that machine in front of a hospital to clean off the emergency ramp. They would never let it follow fire trucks to a fire to melt down the snow off the fire hydrants. I mean, yes. But the trial of the century, and OJ, we're kind of, the boys kind of, I was glad he won, but I just, I mean, I was wrapped up in the case. I ain't gonna lie. I looked at it every day, every night, listened to reruns. On the weekend, I was just a nervous wreck waiting on Monday. I ain't lying. I was. Matter of fact, 2 weeks before that OJ trial ended, I got so carried away, I thought I did it. I called my wife, said, baby, get them tight gloves out. I'm going to turn myself in. OJ said about 18 months ago, he was on Larry King Live, I still love Nicole. Matter of fact, I sleep at night, she comes to me in my dreams. I was trying to get hold of him. I was going to ask him, next time she come to you, ask her who did it. But if we was going to have a trial of the century, we, the people, should pick it. We should determine. I mean, was it the Nuremberg trials? Was it, Brown versus Topeka, Kansas? Not just some old lightweight murder. But if we're going to have a trial of the century in the last 10 years, it would have been here in New York, at Colin Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
Now, was that a strange case? This boy said he didn't want no lawyer. He was going to defend himself. Did y'all follow that?
Yes, sir.
I mean, the boy walked out there like he was two different people. I looked at opening argument, he says, now, first, the jury, my client, Mr. Ferguson, is innocent. I will admit my client was on the train that day. He did have that gun that killed him folks in his bag. But we will prove to you my client went to sleep. And while he was asleep, a white dude came and got that gun, shot them people, then put that gun back in his bag. And when white folk love you, they love you. They never even asked him if you were asleep, how you know it was a white dude that did it, you know. And when he was cross-examining that one white girl, I just went off. I said, Miss, you're gonna sit there and tell me and this jury that my client, Mr. Ferguson, shot you 6 times, and that white woman went off. I'm saying you shot me 6 times. Now you're saying it was 2 people, huh? Somewhere. Let me just say to you all, thank you for another good year. You know, I go all over the country, all over the world and speak, and there is no group like this group. No group like this. Money is not power. Education is not power. Information is power. And a system that gives you bad information means for you to have bad power. And so I'm just, you know, one of the highlights of my year is to come before you, peers, people who have information. And I see my brother and my sister here, they all over the country, all over the world, walking down the street in Africa. Now when he be in Africa, he be walking. Yeah, when he get where them insurance boys can't see him, he be out of that school. Where we headed now is going to be exciting. See, I always like to take the easy way out, but I will go the rough way if I have to. I've always liked the easy way. You know, God moved that mountain, but I'm also willing to climb it if I have to. If I have to. Gore could have won like he did. And that'd been the easy way out for us. We keep praying for another Malcolm, another Martin, another one to a customer. You Malcolm, you Martin. Everything that ever was and ever will be, that's what we are. And how I see black folks upset over some little old third-rate punk. A fool. And I'm talking about black folks seriously scared. And I keep saying, well, where were you all when we dealt in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s, when the sheriff, the Ku Klux Klan, the White Citizen Council, the police chief, and the FBI was all the same. And we survived that with no television cameras, with no decent white folks. There's a lot of decent white folks now. The white folks, some of you all might know, might not be no good, but there are white folks that have been born and raised and that grew up with black folks. And all them lies they've been telling on black folks don't work with them. And that's why you see these white folks run around inflicting pain on themselves, because they realize their mom and dad have lied to them and they can't punch them out, so they stick their tongue out and put screws all the way through their tongue. Shoot each other. And Bush gonna be in for a rude awakening. These little white folk gonna cut him a new booty hole. They got 50,000 people waiting on him for the inauguration, and they got some white folks say they're gonna close it down. See, we talk about going to the Supreme Court and praying. I ain't got no problem with that. I'll be with them. But then white folk talk about closing it down because they think as free people. See, they know this thing ain't gonna never work. Huh? And the only way it could ever work is that we would have to spend as much time making it work as black folk as we spend going around the world trying to prop up this filthy, insane, vicious nation.
Yes, sir.
And my embarrassment and the reason I have to stay out here, I'm embarrassed. I was in the military. There was no war going on. I was in the military. I wasn't married. But when I was in the military, had there been a war going on, had I been married, had I had children, and that white boss say, let's go take that hill, I wouldn't have said, how will this affect my family? I'd have ran up that hill. And so I'm just damn sick and tired as a black man and as black men go all over the war killing for this vicious, insane thing. Then when you come home and find out somebody shot your mama, you want to march. Now, I'm not standing here telling you to go get you a gun. You've already done that. I'm not standing here telling you to go kill somebody. You're a known killer all over the world. Until it comes to your liberation. And how do you mothers tolerate spitting something out your belly that has such heathen tendencies? How do you feel? How do you feel spitting something out your belly and you see that thing standing on the corner pushing crack to children? I do not have the authority to tell you you can't do dope. I do not have the authority to tell you you can't abuse your body, but I do have the authority to say you're not going to abuse this black neighborhood. And then y'all got nerve enough to believe these little punks is bad. If they bad, send them over in the mafia Italian neighborhood who brings that stuff and tell them, sell dope over there in front of that Catholic church, punk. Huh? These are games. And what we need to do is just sit back and just listen. See, what we need to do is follow white folks, maybe. We need to follow Jews and see if we can learn to do for Africa what they've done for Israel. Huh? Maybe we need to learn to have that type of love for each other as they have for Israel. You spend all your money doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The strongest two forces in the history of America has always been the black woman and the black church. Always. That's why both of y'all are under attack. They can burn down a black church, but they never burnt down a black hoe house. They never burnt down a black crack house, but they can burn down a black church. Huh? A white boy put on a dress and look like a woman, they call him a transvestite or a cross-dresser. They want to refer to RuPaul as a beautiful black woman. Something wrong with that. Something wrong with that. So somewhere when we understand our responsibility, there's a violation of God for you to let a system who hates you reduce you below the dignity that God have implanted in you just so you can pay your rent or your house note or feed your family. God's telling you death is better. Something's wrong. I can walk all over the world at night and see white cops all over the world and don't feel like they're gonna harm me until I get back to America. Huh? And if you all don't understand the insult magnitude of police brutality, then you crazy. A Ku Klux Klan will jump out on me and say, hey, nigga, come here. I can break and run. I can say your mama's a nigga. He can pull out a gun. I can take his gun and pistol whip him and shoot him. I can't do that to a cop. A cop has the right to tell me to stop, and I have to stop. I didn't have to stop for the Klansman or the lynch mob. And yet you want to peacefully coexist with this filth that happens every day, and it seems to be okay. You get angry, but it's okay. We looked at that black brother in Philadelphia. They were stomping and kicking and beating and but hey, wait a minute. So he shot the cop. He took the cop's gun. He took his car. They shot him 6 times. That nigga was still fighting. They should hire him. They said, wait a minute, man, if you can teach cops to do this. But I tell you what, had that been a Doberman pincher that took that cop's gun and the gun accidentally went off and shot, now they found out the cop shot the cop. Had that been a Doberman pincher that bit that cop and then got in the squad car and kind of tricked something in the car, drove away, and had those cops caught that Doberman pincher and worldwide watched them stomp that dog like they stomped that brother, all hell would have broke loose. Anytime I live in a country that you can treat me as a human being worse than you can treat a dog and get away with it. I mean, I live in a country where it's open season on me. I live in a country that have a deer season, a fishing season. You got to get a license to fish. You got to get a license to hunt. You can be driving through certain places like y'all traveling, they'll stop you, open up the hood to see if you got, they ain't never opened up the hood to look for me. And then we tolerate it. And so maybe this election might be what we need. Because we had the power. A country ain't, America ain't nothing but a punk. Crazy. They talk about God and spirituality. I was in Neiman Marcus. Now, poor folk don't shop in Neiman Marcus. I'm in Neiman Marcus the other day, and they got that, people standing in front of me buying stuff, and they got to take that machine and take that hook off them clothes. These ain't welfare. These super rich folks. Yeah, I know they got good juice in their credit cards. I've used some of them before. You know, they just be there, just feel so good. I just slip my stuff up in front of them. All over America, America's such mentally deranged, ungodly, unspiritual country. Every major retail outlet have to put stuff on their clothes because they know America will steal them in neighborhoods where black folk don't even come in. So don't tell the world I'm the thief. Don't tell the world I'm the drug addict. You do all your filth, then you paint it black. I caught you red-handed. What do I caught you red-handed mean? It means a thieving Indian. That's what it means. I caught you red-handed. They always gonna determine what the logo gonna be. Flip Wilson. All they used him for was to defame the strongest two forces in America, the black woman and the black church. And the bad part about it, some of y'all thought it was funny. As long as you've been black, you ain't never seen a woman like that one he's supposed to be, and ain't never met a preacher like Leroy. But I don't see nobody, no comics on TV talking about priests ripping off little bitty boys' booties. See, what's the fastest way to get a nun pregnant? Dress her like an altar boy. And so somewhere, if we can get rid of this white racist mentality in our heads. I heard some folks talking the other day, it just kind of blew me away. Say, well, you know, poor black folks now want their children to go to private school. This ain't nothing new. Poor black folks always want their children to go to good schools. I was born in 1932. And if you had any money at all, you sent your children to Catholic schools. That's always been going on. But what used to blow me away, I mean, here's a little brother, I mean, this Rufus, this nigga would tear down God. And you hear him says, if we can just get him in that Catholic school, them nuns will make him behave. I said, wait a minute, now here's a nun, ain't never had a job in her life, don't know how to bake a biscuit, and she gonna take this punk? No, the fact that she was white. Huh? The fact that she was white, she could look him in his eye and discipline him and make him behave. So I say to you tonight, the breakdown in the black community with our health is not because of what you eating. I mean, we've always ate more food when I was a little boy than y'all eat now. We had 3 meals a day. And everybody sit at their table and ate. The big problem now is all the additives and chemicals that's in the food, plus all of the resentment you harbor inside your body for a white racist system that tears up your living kidneys. Huh? But it's a beautiful machine that this God put together. I mean, do you realize the water in your eyes, you don't even feel it. But if your eyes didn't water, within 30 minutes, your eyes would stick together and you would be wiped out. This little eye here, you blink this eye 5 million times per year. And I mean, this is like, we ain't talking about my eye, we talking about, you know, the outside. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't even look at that as some important part of my body. Hair grow in your nose, you don't even feel it. And you get an inch per year. In your lifetime, you got 6 inches or 6 feet of hair growing your nose. When a mother feeds a baby breast, that produces 45 gallons of milk per year. Your lungs, when you breathe in, 2 gallons per minute. Your hands just touch, when I touch this here, just like that, 350 feet per second, those impulses go to the brain. Do you realize what kind of machine we got? Take care of your body. Just little simple things, little easy things. Let me see you do that. No, they're not. Thump it twice. Okay, right here, right there, okay. What is it? Thymus. Thymus, that's right. Do it 30 times. Not now. Do it in the morning. Do it in the evening. 30 times. You know what happens? What'd you say that was? And when you do that 30 times, you strengthen the immune system. Huh? That's what the gorilla be doing. Huh? The gorilla don't do that and that hits the thymus. Huh? And notice every time you see one of them old Tarzan movies, when Tarzan got to go catch somebody, he do that. Huh? Exercise, walk, physical fitness.
Yes.
Walk.
Yes.
And don't come to me and say, I heard what you said, but I got a bad leg. Walk bad. Walk the same way you be walking when you going buying them lottery tickets. You can do anything you inspire to do. Huh? I mean, we leave here, you go to the shopping mall. I mean, you go to the mall, they got 60,000 parking slots. All of them be full, except the handicap. And you know they're not coming. But you better not park there. You go to 7-Eleven, handicap parking. Huh? You go to the police station, handicap parking. Hospital, they got handicap parking everywhere in America except a liquor store. They say, you want this bottle of Jack down? You get out that car, walk in here. You need some help? I get my whiskey on my own. Take care of your body. Get up in the morning. Do your physical fitness. Get you a nice little brush or get those rough gloves and just scrub your body down. Just dry bath. Stimulates that whole system. Just start at the bottom and work up. Work towards your heart. Get up to the top. And start going to bed. Turn the television off. Go to bed and go to sleep. And turn the lights. Stop sleeping with lights on. The melatonin do not produce itself where there's light. You have to be total darkness. You have a lymphatic system. The lymph system is like the sewage, the waste disposal. It has 45 pints of fluid. And they say that fluid is equivalent to ocean water, salty. You have 15 pints of blood, but you got a pump for the blood. There is no more fluid in your body than the lymph system. 45 pints, and there's no pump. Huh? And the only way you move that filthy system, that all of that stuff that's in the lymph, is by walking. It's by moving. It's by moving. And when you don't move, it just sits there and it just stays there. You have to move. And you got to move, sister. He don't have to move. Just get him a symphony record and just play it. Let him sit there and direct it and direct it and direct it. And the same thing happened. They found out symphony conductors live 20 years longer than any other occupation. And dumb white folk, they got a grant to find out why. They get a grant for everything. And they said, well, he's listening to the music. So they got another grant and said, well, the rest of the band listen to the music. How come they don't live 20 years longer? Then they found out it's the exercise, huh? So take care of your body. And water. If you got anything wrong with you at all, it ain't 8 glasses of water a day. Whatever you weigh in pounds, you're supposed to drink half that in ounces. How many of y'all knew that? Yeah. If you weigh 100 pounds, every day you drink 50 ounces of water. You weigh 200 pounds, every day you drink 100 ounces of water. You weigh 500 pounds, 250 ounces of water every day. And then everything in that, that's the system. That's the universal order. And brothers, stop trying to get your manhood through your joint. So who cares? That's your thing. And sisters, stop letting these brothers in a white racist system come home and be a man. Stop all that hollering. Sister, don't make no noise. Get it and shut up. Evidently, I don't care how good you screw, it ain't liberated you. Yeah, white women like us because we can screw. I notice they don't leave you in their will. I don't see you in no fine cars. Huh? I see you still on the phone talking about tell them I'm not here. Take care of your body. And spend some time in meditation. See, what y'all need to do is follow some of these Muslim brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not saying join the church. That's up to you. If I didn't know what I knew about health and meditation, I would snatch me a Muslim. Yeah, nigga, you gonna tell me why you don't need no whiskey? You gonna tell me how you can be out here in a winter suit on in the summertime with a bow tie, 100 and nigga, you don't sweat? You gonna stay right here in this black ghetto and you don't need no drugs, you don't need no alcohol, you don't need no cigarettes? And we keep overlooking them while we praying to God for somebody to liberate us and send us a savior from drugs and alcohol. The savior has already been here, but because they look like the nation that was able to do that, we'd be paying them $10,000, $15,000 to come in and give seminars. Huh? Because the Muslims, I mean, they ain't got no bumps on their face.
That's true. That's true.
They didn't leave the black community. They right here. So at least you ought to watch them. Just. And the strangest thing, when them niggas be selling them bean pies, they don't have more than 2. I don't care how many you order, they just go around the corner and they come back. They got them. I don't know where they get them pies. They just disappear. Be right back. They never run out of bean pie, and you never see them. You don't see them out there. Oh, what you got? Got these bean pie, and they don't be begging you to buy them. They do. Care for a bean pie? And I ain't never seen a Muslim eating a bean pie. You see them brothers walking in the morning with that dignity? They be walking like they going away. You know them niggas ain't got no jobs. Take care of your body. Now let me run something to you real quick. And we'll get out of here. On election night, I was had me a strange dream. I went to bed November the 7th and dreamed I was a white boy. Not just a white boy, I dreamed I was a Serb in Bosnia. Yeah, it was serious. The nightmare was, while I'm dreaming I'm a Serb in Bosnia, a white boy, y'all got y'all's army over there to see to it that we have fair elections, and you ran my old no-good leader out of office. And then I wake up still thinking I'm a white boy, and here y'all elected a dead man to the Senate and don't know who your president is. Now, any way you cut it, it's something wrong with a nation that elects a dead man to office. I mean, if that don't outrage you, nothing will. I mean, death is final. It's over. They ain't coming back. You can go to funerals, you can cry, you can holler, you can scream. It's over. That's why I tell people alarm clocks do not wake you up. If you think alarm clock wake you up, take one to the morgue and let it go off and see if anybody's gonna jump up. Let me tell you something. This election, what you looked at went in motion about 20 years ago. There was 2 brothers wrote the book called Vote Scam, and both of them was murdered. In 1968, when they started what they call Election Central, that's the computer based at Rockefeller Center, that's nothing but a CIA trunk. And they send all the data in and it comes out the way they want it. And when you black folk get to talking about what they did to black folks, remember, everywhere in this country where black folk got misused in this last past election, those was Democratic strongholds. It wasn't like black folks had to leave the black community and go way over here to this Republican neighborhood. They went where they vote all the time in Democratic strongholds. It was black folk complaining in Washington, D.C. A black town, black mayor, black police chief, and black folks at the poll. Huh? Chicago, white cops was stopping. They said they'd never seen anything like it in the history. Black folks was carrying black folks to the polls to vote. White cops was stopping them, saying, you have a chauffeur's license or cab, you can't haul these people. Get them out, I'll put you in jail. And while everybody was looking at the president saying, a white racist system said, we can never let the Democrats take over Congress because for the first time in history, you'll have 5 black folks that control committees and 19 subcommittees. That's what that was about. And then Julian Dixon, you see, he just died the other day. That was murder. This man wasn't sick. First, he's from L.A., but he didn't live in L.A., he lived in Washington, D.C. But if you're a senator or a congressperson, every year you have to go and have your physical checkup. He went to the hospital just to have his physical checkup and never walked out. What they fixing to do is they got some new machines now that you put your thumb on it. And that thumbprint tells you in the electric central who you are and how you voted. Now, right to vote, nigga? Okay, they never said they was gonna count them. Yeah, we'll give you the right to vote, but we ain't counting them. Huh? Let me tell you something. If you all remember the night when they decided that Bush had officially won, if those of you all was watching TV, in your subconscious you should have felt something. Gore wasn't as upset as he should have been, and Bush wasn't as happy as he was supposed to be. This is my new book called Callous on My Soul. Those of you that haven't got them, they still got some left. I've signed already. And then let me tell you what I'm telling you about this book. There is more information in this book. And the reason I was so glad that in the Time, New York Times, Dallas, Time magazine count, it hit number 10. Because they have never, ever even thought they had to entertain the fact of even saying to the world that something like this said. We list the guy's name, the Memphis cop that killed Martin Luther King. His name's in this book, Lieutenant Earl Clark. You can't put nobody's name in a book like this without a lawsuit. We put raw, naked information in here. And when you deal with page 163, when you look at 163, then you'll understand that last paragraph. Then you'll understand the selection. Then you'll understand why old dumb stupid Bush looked strange and Gore looked happy. What makes many white people uncomfortable is knowing Indians have power that's unexplainable. They proved that when they put the curse on the President of the United States, also known as the curse of the white man. And then what we talk about is the Shawnee chief, Tecumseh, in the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1813. William Henry Harrison, who was the governor of the Indiana states and also led the militia, he attacked the Indian village. And in that Battle of Tippecanoe, he killed Tecumseh and his brother. They were prophets and psychics. And as Tecumseh lied, dying, he knew that William Henry Harrison would be president one day. Harrison didn't know that. And he said, I curse you that you will die in office and every president on a zero number will not complete their term. They just laughed at it, and that was 1813. 1840, William Henry Harrison became president of the United States. On inauguration day, he caught pneumonia and died 2 weeks later. The next zero was 1860. Abraham Lincoln died in office. The next zero was 1880. Garfield died in office. The next zero is 1900. McKinley. The next zero is 1920. Harding. The next zero is 40. Roosevelt. All inaugurations have always been on March the 4th. Roosevelt changed it to January the 20th, trying to get off that Indian curse, and he couldn't. A great Indian psychic, Rolling Thunder, in his book in 1975, he said, I don't know who the president going to be in 1980, but because the planet Mars is not in place, he will not die in office. He'll be shot, he'll be gravely wounded, he'll never become a whole person again, but he won't die. But from the year 2000 for the next 200 years, no president will survive it.
Now, it was something kind of interesting because those of us that do research and know folks, we kind of been out here for a long time, and you see it and you feel it and you look at it. But for the first time, a straight American newspaper, for those of y'all that keep records, page A16, Thursday, USA Today, November the 9th, will President face hex up to Comfrey? And they run the whole thing down in a straight American newspaper. And then right after that, about 2 weeks later, in the National Examiner, big bold, President's curse, 7 leaders died in year ending in 0, died while in office. And so this is a strange thing that's going on. So y'all don't have to be too worried about the Bush boy. The Indians had already took care of that. And so somewhere, I say to you today, we are too strong of a people, we're too beautiful of a people to let some thug, some punk, some heathen that come from a heathen, trampy family interfere with our glory. And all we got to do is just change our spirit. Because what we represent is light. What Bush and that whole family represent is darkness. And if you want to know how much power light have over darkness, before you go to bed tonight, turn the light off and then pop it back on. Light wipes darkness clean out. You don't shoot a roach. You don't get scared of a roach. You turn the light on. And roaches will leave. Roaches just act a fool in the midst of darkness. Roach be in your house when the lights is out like they paying the rent. All you do is go in there. If I went home tonight and saw my old lady with a gun trying to shoot a roach, I would leave her. You don't shoot no roach. You don't cuss no roach. You just turn the light on. And roaches, and if you really want to get rid of roaches, clean up the damn house. And maybe this white boy done oversported himself with his trick. Maybe this is the one that might wake us up. And we decide we're going to clean up the house. Here's a white boy that couldn't beat a dead man, and he's going to be over the Justice Department. I mean, he lost to a dead man? Well, what we need to do is the first time he get in and do something we don't like, to show up and say, we're not dead, we the living. Huh? If the dead man beats you, what do you think we can do? Somewhere. And we don't need to worry about the Clarence Thomases and the Armstrong. We don't need to worry about them thug black folk. They have a right to be ungodly and unspiritual. But Clarence Thomas will never be on a stamp. Malcolm X is on one. And had they been upset when Al Sharpton ran for mayor and tied, pushed the woman into a runoff, then 2 days later they found some ballots that hadn't been counted. Remember that? And so there was no runoff. So don't act like this is something that just started. They've been doing this. Let me run a couple of things down to you quickly. 2 years ago, the election, and here's what you all need to do. This last election was November the 7th. And we know it was stolen. So for the first time, we have a chance to decide what color the image is going to be. So we should start referring to November the 7th, 2000 as White Tuesday. And white folks say, well, is that racist? We say, when the stock market caved in, you call it Black Friday. Well, y'all talking about us? We didn't call your name, we called the color. November the 7th, 2000, White Tuesday, the day they stole the election. What they? The system.
And some kind of way, we have to let our children see that other image. Black Friday, Black Market, huh? Black boy, huh? Black list, huh? Somewhere. Well, let me tell you something. I want you to hear it real good. 2 years ago, November the 3rd, 1998, I had got hold of some film illegally of a grand jury investigation. And the folks in British, who they didn't know, I knew they was British intelligence, they couldn't believe I had this film. So a friend of mine who knew a friend of theirs got in touch with me and said, would I come to England and let them see the film? I said, well, I can come to England on October the 13th, 1998. But I will let you see my film. I'll give it to you because I got it illegal. I mean, me having it is criminal. You can have it. But I know that you already have a printout of what our November election is going to be. So when I come over there on October the 13th, 1998, if you would show me the results of our coming election, I'll give you my film. And we did. And I came back. And I knew how the election was going to come out. I'll show you the power of God. ABC, the Sunday night before the election, huh? Loaded up their website with the election results. And somebody hit the switch by mistake. And on Sunday night, before the Tuesday election, the results was going out. Only one paper in the whole country. The Atlanta Journal, listen, Tuesday, November the 3rd. This is the morning paper. It means this is the day of the election. Headlines, ABC posts election results before the vote. Front page headline. So don't act like this mess that just went down the other day is something new. The New York Times, the Washington Post, huh? They know. That's why they didn't print this story. And here's what they say. ABC was hit with an online disaster on the eve of today's election when its internet site displayed complete election results hours before the first vote was cast. Huh? They've been doing this. And Jimmy Carter goes all over the world with the Marines to the third world to guarantee free and fair election. Somebody need to take one of them vote machines and grease it up and go down there to Atlanta and snatch his pants down and bend him over and ram that machine all the way up his... So, I say to you tonight, something happened awful the other day. They got a guy on death row for blowing up Oklahoma. He said, Judge, I want to die. And the federal judge the other day said, yeah, okay. Wait a minute. Did y'all hear what he said? He said, if he don't get what? Anybody know the story? If he don't get clemency. Huh? Now wait a minute now. Let's play this straight. If he really did that, which he didn't, but if he really did that, and he's asking for clemency, the boy crazy. Huh? No. They're going to kill him, so whatever truth he know, you never hear it. Now, there's another one, two of them's in jail. Y'all know that, right? Only one paper ran this story, the Washington Times, April the 22nd, 1998. Little bitty article. FBI paid mortgage on Nichols' home, Denver. The FBI made mortgage payments on Terry Nichols' home after he was arrested for conspiring to bomb the Oklahoma federal building. A Justice Department spokeswoman said she did not know immediately why the government was making payments nor how much. Now, hear what I just said. Here's a man who's in jail for participating in killing almost 200 people, and as you sit here now, your tax money's paying his mortgage. So somewhere when you sit and listen and see how vicious and insane this system is, why would you want to peacefully coexist with it? And then when you reach out here and do what Leonard Jeffrey did, they isolate you, but when they can't destroy you, huh? Al Sharpton would have been destroyed. Huh? Madison would have been destroyed had they just laid down and said, you got me. They said, come on, punk. Yeah, y'all do it to each other? Y'all bad? Yeah, nigga, what you call me? How come you don't say that to white folks? I learned how to treat white folks just looking the way you treat niggas. I do white folks the same way. Come on, punk. Come on. You the new president? Come on, punk. Listen, I'll deal with it. And your mama too, boy. Yeah. When you go home, look at your toothpaste. Look at the fine print. Do not what? Swallow. That's what's on here. Do not swallow. And you haven't said, what? They don't put this on whiskey. What have you got in here that's so paused and you have to put a disclaimer so you can't be sued, and then it finally says in case you do swallow, contact what? A poison control center, because an ordinary doctor do not have the education but to save you. Huh? I mean, do you all realize? I'm living in a country that took smallpox germs and put on blankets and gave to Indians, women and children. I'm living in a country that not the Ku Klux Klan or the White Citizen Council, the United States Bureau of Health took 600 black men and injected syphilis into them, and then you have to sit here and be told by somebody that this same white boy that did that also invented AIDS. And then when somebody come up with it, some conspiracy theory. No, a white racist system is a conspiracy theory. Hello. I mean, what is this here in New York? Last August, said year's first case of West Nile virus confirmed. What's West Nile virus? You see, anything negative you say about Africa, nobody questions. Huh? I mean, I'm born in 1932. Ever since I was a little boy, the African killer bee been on its way here. And then one day I find out the African killer bee, two things. It never been to Africa. It was invented by some white American scientists in Brazil, and then they never killed nobody. They said, well, the West Nile. Where? The Nile's located where? In what country? Egypt, right? So they said, well, what happened? They said a mosquito got on the plane and got off at Kennedy. Now, they don't have one nonstop flight from Egypt to New York. How did that mosquito know not to get off at the first stop? I want y'all to do me a favor. Tomorrow, or sometime in the next 2 days, go into a drugstore and check something for me. This is a black publication. I don't know if you get it here in New York, but in Washington, D.C., they give it out free in the black paper. It's called Health Quest. Huh? Y'all know, you hear me? Here's a story that have not ran in one white newspaper, on TV, nowhere in the world. Listen. AIDS, Action AIDS, health warning. Follow up on study presented at the International AIDS Conference in Durban, South Africa. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention have issued an urgent AIDS health advisory. You hear that? health advisory. You would say weather advisory? Health advisory. This is the Center for Disease Control. Many people have been counseled that monoxin 9, known as N9, contained in many spermicidal prophylactic, the rubbers you buy, helps prevent HIV. However, a recent study conducted on 1,000 HIV negative prostitutes in Africa found out that using monoxin 9 gel actually increased, not decreased, your chances of getting AIDS. Huh? Now wait a minute. On my way here last night, I stopped in the drugstore in Washington, D.C. and bought these condoms, and right here with pride it said, with monoxin 9. Huh? Now how is it the Center for Disease Control can issue a health advisory and have not told them to take them off the shelf? Huh? And then tell you, oh, we're going to pass out free condoms, we're going to, you damn right there. Huh? The London Times, no other newspaper ran this. The London Times, Monday, May the 11th, 1987. Front page, smallpox vaccine triggers AIDS virus. Huh? And now they're talking about all of these trifling Africans. No. Listen to this here. The AIDS epidemic may have been triggered by the mass inoculation campaign to eradicate smallpox. The World Health Organization, which masterminded a 13-year campaign. I mean, how do I live in a white racist world who don't like me, and all at once I'm stupid enough to let them administer my health? And now all at once it's just like, oh, how can they do that? They're just so trifling. So get a good education. Go to school, learn how to talk. And then black folk come out talking about, well, we don't need to be talking no Ebonics, it ain't gonna get you no job. Even Jesse Jackson, very seldom he be wrong. He come out against Ebonics. Jesse, that's all you talk, boy. Up with hope, down with dope. Well, I mean, what's down with dope? That's how he brought them hostages home from Bosnia. Ebonics, he called over there and said, hey, I'd like to come get the hostages. They say, come on. They thought that boy say sausages. I leave you tonight and I say to you, your education, your money, don't mean nothing. When they see you, all they see is nigger. You can't be no more educated than Ron Brown. Here's a brother put a white boy in the White House. They said his plane crashed and his body was so mangled they asked his wife to cremate him, don't open the coffin. The only way we could identify him is through his fingerprints. Well, I got the picture of Ron Brown laying dead on the ground. Dead on the ground. Not one speck of blood, not one piece of skin broken, not one bone. What killed Ron Brown is right there, that bullet hole in the back of his head. Huh? That's what killed him. How'd I get these pictures? The white folks at the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology that performed the autopsy brought them to me. In this book we talk about, we forced the government to give us Malcolm X's autopsy pictures. Malcolm was standing on the stage. The brothers ran up and shot up, but on the autopsies all the bullets going into Malcolm was going down. Which means them niggas that the government hired, they didn't even trust them enough to give them nothing but blanks. And now the CIA have admitted a week before Malcolm was killed, they rented the Ottoman Ballroom. And that's where they went up there and cut the panels in the wall. And look at that brother that's leaning over Malcolm, that famous, he the one that killed him. Because when you shoot me in the chest, you never give mouth to mouth because you bring air bubbles into the lungs. So I put everybody on alert. If I ever got shot, whoever's job it is, one of you all there, to come up and give mouth to mouth, well, you might got me, but the last thing I'm gonna do, I'm getting your lips, baby. I'm biting them off the rest of your life. You walk around with nothing but teeth showing. Now, if you love the government that much, come on. Under the Freedom of Information Act now, we can get all kind of stuff. Only one newspaper ran this. The Daily News, New York, December 29th, 1999. Psychic was FBI pawn. Gene Dixon attacked federal targets. Under the Freedom of Information Act, Gene Dixon, this world-renowned psychic, we find out now that everybody that Hoover and the government was going to kill, they gave her the information 18 months ahead of time. And 18 months before Kennedy was hit, she says, I see dark clouds over JFK in Dallas. He shouldn't go there. Then when he's shot, then they rerun the column, and now we find out that she was getting this information from the FBI. She see dark clouds over Memphis. King should not go there. She see communists interfering with the civil rights movement. All this was just filthy lies. But what we have to do is not have to even be validated by a white racist system. You don't have to say nothing nasty about me as long as you are blocking my freedom. There's something wrong with you, and as long as I let you block it, it means there's something wrong with me. Nicole Simpson, they say she put up a hell of a fight. How you know? Said she had skin under her fingernails. And only one newspaper ran this story. When them 4 pathologists in LA found out that the blood under her fingernails wasn't OJ's and the skin was white, they was getting ready to hold a press conference. And only one paper, the Miami Herald, on July the 20th, 1995, 3A, when they was getting ready to hold a press conference and announced that it wasn't OJ, they murdered all 4 of them. And here's how the headlines read. In one paper in America, 4 LA city employees killed. And you got to read all the way down to paragraph 6 where it say Piper Lab contained the crime lab made famous in the O.J. Simpson murder case. Huh? Okay. This is what we live with every day. And this is why meetings like this just don't come and sit, you know, take this information, get the tapes, you know, meet one another. Don't just come here with a little bunch of cliquey friends and leave. Meet somebody you didn't know, because all of us are the same. They ain't clean none of y'all's snow. And then we got to break off and have little meetings of people you meet here. And it ain't got to be nothing about drinking or having a party. Can y'all have a meeting without cooking anything? Just have a meeting just for the sake of liberation. And let me tell you New York black folks something. See, the rest of these niggas in America let y'all get by with murder. Y'all owe us something in America, because y'all supposed to be so sophisticated. Y'all supposed to be so hip. Y'all get everything 20 years before somebody else get it. Well, how come y'all don't let us know what freedom tastes like? Huh? How come you all decide that New York City, you go all over the world, and most folks don't know nothing about America but New York? Hear me, New York is America. Go out tonight and ask people, you see, name me 2 cities in France. Most folks can't name nothing but Paris. Name me 2 cities in England. Most folks can't name nothing but London. Name me 2 cities in Japan. Most folks around the world think New York is America. And if you all decide that we're not going to tolerate police brutality and put the police on alert, that we're not going to have, we not, and the whole world would hold their breath. Huh? Y'all need to defy what Broadway is. Y'all need to defy what the next play is going to be. And it ain't some silly something on some great white way. It's going to be on the great black way. And it's going to be police brutality in the city of New York is a thing of the past. And you put the police on alert. Either y'all going to run us out or we going to run you out. You're doing a hell of a job now with just a handful of people. You made a man say he had cancer that didn't have it. And the police chief said he had cancer that didn't have it. I mean, two powerful white dudes end up with cancer up their booty. I said, well, maybe I ain't coming every time I come to New York. No, you got to listen to white folks. Remember that Kennedy boy died out there skiing, hit that tree? Remember? And then Bruno, what's his name? The boy? Yeah, Sonny Bruno, he died hitting the tree. My children, they've been to white schools and they ski. I said, Dad, are we going skiing? I said, not till y'all can find that tree that's been killing them folks. When I was in the Army, all the brothers I meet from New York were talking about the Big Apple, the Big Apple, the Big Apple. And like if you wasn't from the Big Apple, like you was mentally retarded. Well, why don't y'all prove that the rest of us is mentally retarded by not tolerating what y'all tolerate? A heathen mayor. A heathen mayor. But thank God that out of this oasis of filth, you got meetings like this. Huh? You got brothers like Alton Maddox that when they busted him, he said, no, let me show you what the bus is. I'm the buster, baby. They can bust Leonard Jeffries, but they can't take his PhD away. They'd love to be able to say, well, he really didn't have one. And don't underestimate the power of this white racist system. They never told Ali they would kill him. They say, boy, we're going to shut your mouth. And they did it. And they did it. And they love him now. Oh, yeah, they brought him here. That ball was shaking so bad the other day. Oh, they had him at the Olympic Games, and I thought the boy was going to put the torch out. They love him now. And so, I leave you tonight and I tell you it's about God. It's about prayer. You call your God what you want to call it, your prayer what you want to call it, but try meditation. Try at 12 noon every day. Not asking God to pay the rent and pay this and pay that. And y'all waste so much time on love. I mean, I ain't never, y'all, by the time I get to a psychic and ask some serious problems, I'm going to the psychic trying to find out what the numbers I should play. Y'all in water psychic down talking about love. She don't love me. So what do I have to do to make her love me? Once you get in love, you don't know what to do. If I can't have you, ain't nobody gonna have you. What's that? Every 4 seconds you've been sitting here, a woman in America been beat up by her boyfriend or husband. Tell me about love. You will never understand love until you understand freedom. Until you understand the dignity to be able to walk down the street and don't have to worry about anything. Somewhere. And so I leave you tonight and I say to you, we've come a long ways. Haven't got much time left. And those of you that heard the news that I had cancer, no doubt the government gave me cancer. Oh, I mean, people got shook up. And Charlie Rangel walked to me one day and said, "Hey man, I heard you got cancer. If anybody can beat it, you will." He right. That's the worst thing in the world they did was give a nigga like me cancer, because my cancer gone. Now, somewhere they're going to have to explain that. My cancer gone. I mean, do I look like I got any cancer? I mean, I feel a little woozy today because I just came off a 7-day air fast. This is my 8th day of being on fast, and I intend to fast until police, hear me good now. Hear me good. I have vowed this New Year's Eve, I made a resolution, not for me, that I will not eat any more solid food again in life until we bust police brutality in this country. And please don't worry about me. And Maddox, he was right. Said, when Greg fasts, I get, "Oh, Greg, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to do it." Every morning when I be fasting, I get up and get the newspaper and look at the obituary column, check out all you eaters. The last time I ate some food was 2 days before Christmas. Pick up the paper tomorrow, check out the obituary column, see how many fasters you see listed. Them is eaters. And I see so many eaters in the paper this morning, it inspired me to do another week. I'm going another week. Hear me good now. I also decided that I intend from this New Year's Day until this thing is ready to be celibate. I don't want to have the pleasure of sex in a country where a cop can shoot me in the back and they said justifiable homicide. Somewhere we have to be serious about our liberation. Somewhere we got to put this white ball on alert that while we marching to get our rights, you better understand you got something coming to you that you can't handle. Understand that? Somebody said, "Well, how'd you beat cancer?" I just used my head. I said, Queen Elizabeth, oh ho, I mean, Did I say that? They probably woke that old hoe up already, because you know they pick up everything out here by satellite. They just woke her up and said, "Queen, they just praising you over there. It was just a bunch of colors that just got together and said, they queen." Old hoe probably got clap, syphilis, and gonorrhea. Take care of your bodies. Be in love with yourself. Spend this year laughing and praying for one another. Not scared prayers. Prayer, fear, and God do not occupy the same space. I said, if Queen Elizabeth and that group don't get cancer, they must have something out here. They have. They got a machine that'll wipe cancer out in an hour and 1 minute. How many of y'all know about that? Several. One's called the Rife machine, and the other's called the Zapper. The Rife machine, about 83 people been murdered behind it. I picked up one of the machines last Christmas Eve, and the woman told me, says, "I got a new one coming out that'll make this one obsolete. It'll be ready in February." By the time I went out in February, she was dead. They don't care. They don't care. But I say to you, black brothers and sisters and decent people, if the God I pray to every day can't protect me against filth and insanity, I'll be the first one to admit to you I'm praying to the wrong thing. And I will help them pull the trigger. And so I say to you tonight, this new administration that's coming in, we don't have to worry about them. They should worry about us. We have the power, not them. So I leave you tonight Those of you all that's going to be in Washington, D.C. with us on the 20th, we're having a counter inauguration. Keep your eyes open now. We're not going there saying we're going to shut down the inauguration. That's white folk doing that. And don't underestimate them. They'll blow up them stands and kill everybody in it, because when they come out demonstrating, you don't know what's CIA and what's legitimate. Just in case you don't know what I mean. Hear this. Hear this. Urgent, 1:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November the 17th, 1963. That's 5 days before what? Kennedy was shot. To all special agents in charge of the various offices of the FBI from J. Edgar Hoover, and here's what the telex says. 5 days before Kennedy was killed, threat to assassinate President Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, November the 22nd, 23rd, 1963, miscellaneous information. J. Edgar Hoover sent this out and said to all the agents that run the office, we don't know what day we're going to get him, but on both those days, y'all be at lunch. And so I say to you, laugh, giggle, enjoy yourself, have fun, and you don't have to be high. I'm not going to tell you not to drink, but if the only time you can have fun when you're drinking, something wrong with you. I'm not going to tell you don't do whatever you're doing, but if you got to do strange things to have fun, that's why I don't want nobody to wish me a happy New Year. I can be happy with a half pint. Huh? Happy, don't take much to be happy. Prosperous New Year. And what y'all need to do you know if I gave you $1 million check or you gave me $1 million check, you know you can't walk in the bank and cash that. How many of y'all know that? Let me see here. How many of y'all know that? Banks don't have $1 million. You have to order it, and most of the time you have to go into the Federal Reserve. So it means what? It means if Rockefeller give you $1 million check, oh, my brother here, you got it. He got it. When you look at that little chair he's sitting in, that's the Mercedes. That ain't no little loner. That's serious. You cannot take your $1 million check to the bank. The banks don't have that kind of money. So why don't y'all go home tonight and before you go to bed, write yourself $1 million check. Since you can't cash it anyway. Now you talk about positive, write yourself $1 million check, put it in your purse, put it in your wallet, and you're a millionaire. And just walk up to the bank sometime, just strutting out or go in here and get mama. And sometimes y'all have to, husband, wife, hold it. No, come on, Ed, you don't need to, don't go in here today. Y'all just, and as you put it out there, as you put it out there, thank you. I love you. I love my drums. God bless you. Peace be with you. Thank you.
Hotep. Brothers and sisters, please, before you leave, let us give it up properly for our brother Dick Gregory tonight. And again, I say, without question, our brother who comes to us, to talk to us, to be with us, our brother, Dick Gregory. Brothers and sisters, we are going to close, of course, with our African affirmation, and I have been instructed, of course, by Dr. Leonard Jeffries to make sure that you attend his night on the 17th of January as you have attended Brother Dick Gregory. Is Brother Jeffries in the back? Raise your hand, Brother Jeffries. Well, he's back there working it out. Dr. Leonard Jeffries in the house. There he is. Okay, brothers and sisters, we will now do our African affirmation. We'd like you all to hold hands. You didn't know Dick Gregory could beat cancer, huh? Yeah, okay. You want to do like Mike, do like Dick. That's right. We can do anything we want to do. We're an African people, robbed of our name, robbed of our languages, robbed of our religion, robbed of our womanhood, our manhood, our sisterhood, our brotherhood, our motherhood, our fatherhood, our nationhood, our selfhood, and our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. You can accomplish what you will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice.